They still have to be in 25 feet. Got it.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip Committee meeting. Today is September 30th, 2019. We'll call this meeting in order at 7:30. You can call the roll, please.
Yes. Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Zelinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez? Here. Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Nava Esparza? Here. Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're going to start the meeting this evening. We've got a bid opening. A couple of things we're going to be doing bids on here. First one's related to Public Works, and this is Parkway tree pruning for, off the top of my head, Mike, wasn't it like 420-some trees?
422 approximately.
Yep, 422 trees.
Okay. We do have two bid openings tonight. The other one is for the water tower painting. Just for the record, there is a bid here that I will be opening second. The outside envelope does not state which unit it's for, so once we open it, we'll determine if I need to go on further with the park tree pruning or if we'll set it aside for the water tower. So the first bid is from D. Ryan Tree and Landscape Service, LLC, D as in David, 17271 Illinois Route 23, DeKalb, Illinois, 60115. Mr. Triburn, Mr. Frater, were you requesting a bid bond in this? Okay.
Public check or performance.
Would you mind coming forward and flipping through this because I do not see one? I see their amount, but I don't know if it's normally in front of that or behind that. And I don't want to record something that is not accurate.
Hey, sir, how are you?
I'm sorry, I just don't want to record something that isn't, or...
I'll come down.
Okay. Okay, on their insurance, their certificate of liability insurance, they did check a performance bond. They have not included a check. Their contract, Mr. Frater, would you like the unit prices read or just the total? Okay. The total bid contract form for a total number of 422 trees at an average size of 19.5 is $19,196. That is 19196. This second envelope is the one that I mentioned earlier. It is from Jetco, Jetco Limited, 29693 North Rand Road in Wakanda, Illinois, 60084-9748. This is either the second bid for the tree trimming or the first bid that will need to be read for water tower painting.
Water tower? Okay.
Okay, so we'll put that in this pile. Thank you very much.
Yes.
When I open the next set, sorry. Okay, so the second bid received for the Parkway tree trimming is from Homer Tree Care Incorporated, 14000 South Archer Avenue, Suite 100, Lockport, Illinois, 60441. Mr. Fraser, I'm sorry. There is no on the carrier insurance pages. I just wanted to. They did the same thing? Okay. They also did not include a check, but they did note the bid bond on their insurance certificate. Their total for 422 trees, an average of 19.5, is $79,075. So that's 79075. Mr. Frater, I will need to record some additional information, and then these will be available for you to pick up tomorrow. Okay, the next bid opening is for the water tower painting. The first bid received is from Jetco Ltd., 29693 North Rand Road, Wakanda, Illinois, 60084-9748. They have included a bid bond right on top. Thank you very much. Mr. Triben, would you like the two separate amounts read into the record?
Just the total for both.
Okay, the total bid for the water tower on approximately 119th and Central and the water tower at approximately 119th and Costner is $1,804,300. That's $1,804,300. The second bid received is from T-Corp, T-E-C-O-R-P Incorporated. They are located at 2221 Muriel, M-U-R-I-E-L Court, Joliet, Illinois, 60433. They have included a bid bond. Their total for the water tower on 119th and Central, as well as 119th and Costner, is $1,619,800. That's $1,619,800. And the third bid received is from Era Valdivia Contractors, Inc., ERA-VALDIVIA Contractors, Incorporated, 11909 South Avenue O as in Orange, Chicago, Illinois, 60617. They have included a bid bond. Their total for the 119th and Central and 119th and Costner towers is $1,732,600. That's $1,732,600. And Mr. Triben, these will be available for pickup tomorrow. And that concludes the bid opening, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you for participating. We'll move on with our officers' reports tonight. I didn't have anything on the agenda, but I would like to let everyone know our 2 new employees are working out really well. We might have mentioned at our last meeting, we have a new clerk in the clerk's office, Brittany Darman. She's working very well in there, and Kent has...
Stealing my thunder, Mayor.
Yep, sorry. And then, I didn't have anything on my report. And then Kent has a new finance associate, Tom Hoffman. Tom's working out really well, too, isn't he? Yeah.
Very well.
A couple of nice young folks working for us, and they're doing a great job. So when you see them, please welcome them. Next, we have the clerk's report.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Presentation of the August 2019 motor fuel tax allotment in the amount of $64,103.66. That is all, Mayor
Thank
Ryan.
Public forum. Anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? No one? I might go a little bit out of order here, folks, but we do have a few people in the audience, and if we don't hold them up much. We'll go with Finance first. Finance Committee, Trustee McGlory.
Under Finance first, I'll have the usual list of payroll and accounts payable for approval. And then next, we'll be requesting recommendation of approval of BKD as the village's new audit firm. Based on the bid results from the last meeting, everybody should have gotten a copy or summary that Kent prepared of what all those bid results are. And we do have representatives here tonight from BKD if anybody has any questions for them.
Joe, you want to just come up here and introduce yourself? Sure.
Oh, so I'm Scott Termine, partner with BKD. So that was Scott Termine, partner with BKD,
Okay.
and joining me.
John Cotrera, director with BKD.
Nice to meet you, gentlemen, and thank you for submitting the bid for audit services. Obviously, this has been kind of, it's been a long time coming that we were totally, we were happy with the previous auditing firm, and just felt like anything else. Sometimes it's good to put fresh eyes on something like this with us once in a while then, too. So you've turned in a great bid to us. Trustee McLaurin, do you have any questions or anything on that, or?
No, because their bid packet was very thorough, and I read all of it, so.
She's in finance as well, so that's why I've heard, bounce back with you and stuff.
Between that and
so.
the capper, there's plenty to read there, so
Yes.
appreciate that.
Thank you. Kent, anything you wanted to comment on or anything like that then, too?
No, when our current audit is done, you will see, as we've done in the past, that audit firm sit with me and we will go over the results of the audit. You will see these 2 gentlemen the next year, because they are going to be auditing the fiscal year that is already about 5 months into the year. So that's the period we're looking to start.
We look forward to working with you then, too, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no other questions. Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
You as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
And that's all I have under Finance, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have the fire report. Trustee Murphy.
I have a discussion amending the current ordinance regarding grills on balconies from the current language to no grills on any type of balcony. Chief, you wanted to pull that?
Yeah, I want to pull that for now. I'm still working on some of the information. I'm getting sketchy information on how many buildings and how many units it's going to affect altogether. So I want to hold off for now.
That's what I was asking you before, too. I really want to get a hard number, and, because currently, just for the benefit of the public, this really affects people with wooden balconies or, something susceptible to fire, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And they did amend the ordinance several years ago where they allowed wooden balconies with aluminum wrap, but aluminum still conducts heat. So we're looking at see how many it actually affects. So we'll bring that up a little bit later on.
Okay. That's what I was referring to, trustees. Right now, it just refers to wooden balconies, or like the chief says.
Well, this says any type of balcony.
That's what we're
That's what
going
we're looking
to.
at
I
is-
was just talking about what exists now.
Right.
One of the other things I'd like to note, though, aside from the number of balconies that are out there that this may affect, I'd like to know how many instances of fires you've had of this nature.
In the last couple of years, we've only had a few because we have the limitations are so few balconies that it affects.
Right.
And the other thing we've talked about with my inspectors and all that is we don't see a lot of people barbecuing like they used to 15 and 20 years ago. It just, people aren't into that anymore like they used to be. At one time, you used to see a grill on every balcony that was out there. And now they're very far and few in between. We send our inspectors out 3 times a year to go through all the apartment buildings with the grills on the balconies, and even the amount of tickets we've written are well reduced from what we used to do before.
Right.
So I want to look at a few more things before I bring this up.
Okay, thank you.
And next, discussion on creating a new ordinance requiring commercial and industrial landlords to notify the village's building department of all new tenants prior to the moving in. Failure to do so shall result in fine.
So I had this conversation with Roger Early last week. We had another incident at a building on the west side of town. So we had a complaint of an odor coming from a unit on 124th right off of Latrobe. We sent our engine and they met Roger there, and there was a strong odor of almost like paint thinner that was coming from the unit. The unit did not have a business license. There was nobody in there, so we ended up forcing entry. They work on metal objects, whatever, and it smelled like they had lacquer thinner that was in there or some type of lacquer-based paint or whatever. However, walking in, as soon as you walk into the side, they had 15 propane cylinders that were stored there. They also had quite a few oxygen and acetylene cylinders that were on 2 different walls that were unsecure, among a lot of other different violations. We couldn't tie it to anybody. Roger reached out to the building owner who never returned his phone call. So we found out by just kind of looking through some of the stuff in the office that the gentleman was there, or the business was there since August, only because he applied for ComEd, his electricity at that time also. So he was in there for approximately a little over a month without anybody knowing it. This has been an ongoing problem for several years. And I said this before, is our fire inspectors are the only ones that go into every business in our town because we're the only ones able to do so. And every year we find between 20, 30 businesses that don't have business license. When we first started doing our program, the one year we found almost 60 to 70 businesses that didn't have any licenses. Some of the building owners are very good at making sure that their tenants apply to the building departments. Some of the building owners, not so much. So we want to have some type of a notification system in place that, okay, if you're going to take on a tenant, make sure we're aware of it so we can follow up with the building department to make sure that they meet all the requirements, they get all their fire inspection, and they have a business license to make sure they're doing things the way they need to be able to do, so we don't have any issues in the past. If our fire inspectors go into that business today and find that there's a tenant in there, they're not in there for another year, so who knows how many people will be in and out of a particular business in the same time frame, or how long it's going to take to catch somebody that isn't licensed with the village. And this, like I said, this has been an ongoing problem, especially look at all the buildings we have in town, all the commercial and industrial tenants. I mean, some of them come and go on a regular basis. And then we've seen a lot of different hazards with one of these, and unfortunately, it's usually when something bad happens or when somebody complains about it. Also, and it was like, well, we didn't know they were in there. So this is just that notification process to be able to put something in place, but also hold the building owner accountable by establishing a fine if he doesn't conform with what we're asking in the ordinance.
Trustees, the problem actually exasperates itself a little bit too with the chief. I know you said you had to gain entry. They had to gain forcible entry because what happened with the Knox box again too? No key, right?
No key in the Knox box.
There you go. So I mean, here we're forcing our way in to address a potential hazardous situation, and this all
I'm
that.
saying if there were that many cylinders in there of flammable gas.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And all this could have been avoided if they simply just had a business license and play by the rules. So
Correct.
we're trying to put this as a preventive measure. Obviously, especially in a commercial situation where you've got multiple units tied together and everything else and so forth then too.
But isn't that in and itself a violation for the Knox box, the building?
Without
owner?
having a Knox, the violation is if they have a Knox box or they don't have a Knox box. If they don't have the right key, that is up to them to provide us the right key. In the event that they change the locks, it's also up to them to provide the right key. We normally won't write tickets if they don't have the right key, because if we force entry like this, that's probably a $350 or $400 repair to that door they just had to make, which is a whole lot more than our violation of $100 minimum violation. So the violation is more the Knox box not having the correct key.
So certainly it's in our best interest to make entry easy for you in the event.
Correct.
Certainly, it goes without saying, so.
And like I said, we have one or two building owners that it's a common occurrence.
But-
We're trying to hold them more accountable for it.
But the provision of the Knox box, in this instance, it wasn't because they had to do an emergency entrance, because it delays them.
Oh, exactly.
So that's the whole purpose of the Knox box.
Correct.
And I would think that the building owner would be held accountable for it,
Yeah.
other than just the repair of the damage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's why with this new ordinance, we're chasing the landlord is what we're doing.
Correct.
Right,
We're holding them accountable
right.
for it. So if everybody goes, and then Roger and I will work on something. We'll see if any other villages have anything drafted up, and I'll send it to Trustee Zelinski, who's from the ordinance,
Okay,
and then we'll go from there. If that sounds good, everybody.
sure. We'll put that on the agenda next week, obviously. Tom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
And number 3, discussion on an intergovernmental agreement with the village and the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services. This is to participate in the GEMT program to recoup EMS billing for Medicaid transports.
So I brought this up probably several times in the last couple of years. The Illinois fire chiefs, along with some other agencies, we're trying to create a way to recoup some of our funding that we don't get from our Medicaid patients. We get a lot of Medicaid patients. We only get X amount of money. We don't get what our potential billing is. And this is a problem for quite a few villages and cities. So they've been working on a program, trying to work with the federal government is where this program comes in at. But we also have to work with our state as well as the Department of Health and Family Services and Medicaid services as well. So there's a lot of players in there. So our last meeting, the executive board meeting that I attended, we were told that between 30 and 60 days that we were going to find out if they're going to be able to establish a program and how it would work. Well, apparently last Wednesday, everybody got the same email that says, yes, we're participating. Now there's a lot of things that have to happen very quickly to recoup our money from last year, and it's unfortunate it's the way the state and the federal government works. So two parts to this. So GEMT stands for Ground Emergency Medical Transport. It's just a fancy name for another way of being able to recoup some of our Medicaid through federal program, federal funding, if you will. So it had to go through the federal program, had to go through the state, like I said, as well, and obviously the state's going to take a cut of it as well. So we're going to be able to recoup a lot of our money that we lose in Medicaid. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that we lost about $1 million in ambulance billing due to Medicaid because they're only giving you X amount of money, that's it. So this is going to be able to use to recoup some of that money as well. So the two parts with it is the intergovernmental agreement with, I did send a revised copy today that lists the village of Alsip, not the Alsip Fire Department. And then the other part of it is a 9th section. It's called the cost report, which is extremely timely to complete, and you need to get a lot of information. So over mainly today and a little bit last week between my secretary Sharon as well as Karen Bonema from the finance department, they've been trying to get all this information because all this has to be submitted by tomorrow, October 1st, so we can recoup some of our money for this year. Welcome to the state. And If we choose not to do this, if we choose to wait till November 1st, and then we will not be able to participate in the program till after 2020 sometime. My goal is to try to recoup some of our money for this year. We're losing money. We lose money every year on it as well. So that's what this government is about, or the agreement's about. I'm looking for a consensus vote today. I know it has to be officially approved next week, but again, it's the way for us to be able to complete this and get all the documentation in for tomorrow. One of the things we don't know yet is how often the checks, if you will, are going to come, whether it's monthly, quarterly, or biannually or annually right now. They haven't told us that part of it yet. So, but we're trying to get all that information in. So everybody in the state is trying to scramble to get all their information in. We were on a webinar today with 227 other departments that were on there. So everybody's in the same boat, trying to get some of that money recouped again. So that's what this program's about. Any questions?
I just have a quick statement, and that's that from finance's point of view, I'm not guaranteeing that we're getting any amount of all the necessary data tomorrow. We got this late, and we're still trying to figure out the numbers. So when he's saying other departments may be in the same boat, I'm just letting you know where we are.
All right. And we're also working with our EMS billing company. They're getting our current data with what we've billed with Medicaid over the last year. And all this data goes back to the last fiscal year, not this current fiscal year. So we're trying to get all that information from the fiscal year that ended in April 30th of this year.
Okay, so all the paperwork is being done through our finance department, Tom, or are you
No, myself and my secretary, Sharon, are the ones that are putting everything together for the packet. So Karen's been very helpful with getting a lot of that information on the finance department side. We're getting a lot of information on our side, on the fire side, and then same thing with the ambulance billing company. They're getting us a lot of information as well. Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts right now to try to get it in by tomorrow. And we got a good head start.
I get you. And obviously, like you said, you got this paper kind of late then, too.
Wednesday of last week.
Yeah. It happens in my office, seriously, all the time. I get stuff at the last second, especially with the government like that, too. So
again, we're trying to get it so we can recoup some of our money from this year. Obviously, the more is the better. We're providing a service, and we're just not getting that information. The estimate for the state, I think the state is, if their numbers are right, they stand to make about $200 million for the year. City of Chicago is about $1 million or $100 million, and again, whatever we recoup of what we write off as well. So it's a very good program. There's a lot of other states doing it, and Mark Panitis, who's the fire chief in Naperville, this has been his pet project for the last 3 years, and put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's finally come to fruition. So we'll be able to capitalize on that. So.
Okay. Trustees, actually, Madam Clerk, you can call for a consensus, maybe. Any questions? I'm sorry, before we do that.
And I'll keep everybody up informed of how everything's going on, and keep working with finance for any information we need.
Okay.
So you would like official roll call?
Just a consensus roll call, yes.
Okay. Roll call number one is a consensus for approving the intergovernmental agreement with the village and the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services. This is to participate in the GEMT program to recoup EMS billing from Medicaid transports. Again, this is a consensus. Trustee Dalzell?
I'd be in favor of it.
I'm sorry?
I said I would be in favor of it.
Thank you. Trustee Zielinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava-Esparza?
Yes.
That is a unanimous consensus.
All right. Thank you, trustees. Also, Attorney Kinkar did look over it. I did send it to him also, so he's aware of it. He said everything looked good with it.
Okay. Thanks. Which attorney? Mike?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Trustee Murphy, anything else?
That's all I have under fire.
One thing real quick, we do have our open house on Sunday, October 12th. I'll just remind everybody again, I'll put it on the agenda for next week. It'll be at Fire Station 2 from 1 to 3:30, so hope to see everybody out there. Hopefully it's a good turnout. Hopefully we have a good weather. Last year wasn't so great with weather, but we'll see what happens this year.
No rain.
No rain would be nice. Yeah.
Thank
Will
you,
there be
Chief.
food?
Yes, White Castle comes every year, so yeah, among other things.
All right. Thank you. The police and traffic safety, Trustee Dalzell?
No report, Mayor.
Chief Miller, I didn't get a chance to see it today, but I was with a group of people over the weekend, and somebody asked me about our new Bilal Halim coming out of school, and really looking forward to him coming out. These guys used to work with him. I guess they all say he's a great policeman and stuff, too, so looking forward to working with him soon.
Yeah, he graduates this Friday.
This Friday? Nice. Where did he go, Chief? Chicago?
Chicago.
Nice. All right, thank you. Next, the Public Works and Boat Launch, Trustee Juarez.
I have a request for approval for the Superintendent of Public Works to attend the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Conference on October 15th and 16th in Bloomington, Illinois, at a cost not to exceed $180 for hotel accommodations. And I also have a request for approval to advertise for the 2019 MWRD High Priority Area Sheridan Place Pipelining Project. The bid opening will be held at the October 21st, 2019 Village Board meeting. That's all, Mayor.
Very good, thank you. Sewer and Water Report, Trustee Nava Esparza.
Request for the approval to purchase water meters and FlexNet radio at a cost not to exceed $61,075.00 for the ongoing replacement of residential water meters. This has been appropriated for in the FY20 budget. That's all, Mayor.
Dan, I know we do these, we purge every so often when we're doing these. How many more do we have to go? I know we've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah, we still have a little bit over 2,000.
More?
Meters to install.
2,000 to go? Okay. All right, thank you. Building and Health, Trustee Zelinski?
No report this evening.
Okay. Human Resources, Human Resource and Insurance, Trustee Murphy?
Request for approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 15.5, Personnel, Article 2, Employee Requirements and Benefits, Section 15.5 through 38, Vacations of the Municipal Code of the Village of Alsip.
Okay, so we tabled this at a recent meeting, so that's why we put it back on, just to finish discussion. Did anyone, or go ahead, Sinead, did you want to address this first, or?
Well, I know that it was tabled, so I'm here to address any questions that the board may have regarding this topic.
Okay. Trustees, did you have any questions on this?
Well, I was saying, it was tabled because we didn't like the way it was worded, but we didn't want to just drop it. But the the one that's in the packet right now is the exact same one that ordinance that we tabled last time. So
Okay.
there haven't been any changes or modifications made to it.
What change were you looking for?
Well, part of what we discussed last time is the fact that we were talking about, specifically it's in there now that come May 1st, even if an employee's only been with us for 2 months, they're automatically getting 2 full weeks of vacation time put into their vacation bank with no comment or consideration of, if the employee doesn't even make it through an orientation period and they quit, we still owe them for 2 weeks worth of vacation time. And that's definitely not in the village's best interest.
So historically, like most of us, when we've all taken jobs, I know I was in the private sector forever. When you took a job, you obviously worked a whole calendar year before you qualified for any time off. You were accruing time, but you couldn't use it until your anniversary date, and you went on from there. Here in the village, our current practice is you can accrue time once you're hired, but we work on a fiscal year calendar, and you can only start using your time during the fiscal year, not prior to that, like when you're hired, correct?
Yes, and again, this topic came up with the recent search that we had with a non-union professional candidate, and understanding that the workforce climate is changing from what it was maybe a good 5 or 10 years ago, where most companies are offering vacation time up front. So again, it's just being competitive so that we are able to obtain those professional candidates. On top of, yes, it does seem a bit dated that someone who starts, again, just giving the example of myself, if I started December of 2017, that May 1st of 2018, I had only earned 3 vacation days to use between May 1st of 2018 until May 1st of 2019. Until then, I was granted my full, vacation accrual period. So, again, like I said, I'm totally open to any recommendations that the board may have to tweak this if there's some issues.
You still get, like, once the fiscal year starts, though, too, or is it even when you first start? Like you said, let's say you came on Christmas of 17. You still get your sick days off, right, if you need a sick day?
Right, so you accrue the sick days, but again, we want to make sure that we keep those separate because your sick days should be used for sick. So we don't want to say, well, hey, we're offering you sick days but no vacation days, because you want to make sure that people are using their sick days appropriately.
Okay. So, again, like we were talking about before in a couple of meetings on this subject, was the idea that if you took on an employee that was, like you said, like whether you came on 7, 8 months, 9 months, let's just say prior to that fiscal year, you're working 8, 9 months like that and to accrue time, but you can't even use it until after that time, whatever you accrued, and then you won't get a full vacation until the next
The following
fiscal
year
year.
after that, correct.
So, and like we were saying, anything outside of, like most of our employees are union employees, but we've got 18 non-union employees here, and should it affect one of those 18 positions and so forth then too, is what you're saying is, and we don't, I'm saying that the frequency of a hire like that only comes up maybe once every couple of years, that kind of thing. So it's not like it's affecting a lot of people every year and so forth then too.
Correct.
But if you want to give a quick example how this the ordinance was modified, what you're saying is what? Go ahead if you want to explain to everybody.
So with the ordinance, the way that we have it modified is that the employee coming on hired after September 1st of 2019, they're basically accruing the days that they can use quicker. The accrual actual number is not changed, it's still 5, 6 of a day. It's just the employee will have a quicker access to use those days. So again, we gave the example, if the employee was hired in September, they will be granted, it's like 46.48 hours to use prior to May 1st of the following year. And with that being said, we added the additional language that in case that employee left prior to that time, now typically you are paid out for any vacation that you have earned during that period. So if that employee leaves, let's say 2 weeks later or just a month later, it's not like they will get paid for that whole 46.8 months. They will only get paid for that month that they actually worked and accrued the vacation time, which would be that 6.64 hours. So we added that additional language in there to kind of protect the village, if we were to go with this scenario, from having to pay out additional costs in case of a termination before that fiscal year is met.
What I said, but the problem is in the way it's worded, is again, it only applies to the accrued time up till April 30th. And again, we're throwing the full 2 weeks then into their bank come May 1st. And again, the employee still might not have, come anywhere close to being a year, and yet we're front loading them that 2 weeks with no chance of recouping.
And I understand your concern there, but again, just in my professional experience, like this is just the climate that's there when you're dealing with professional employees. It's kind of the expected.
Well, that's what I had asked, like, what is the impact, right? Like, it impacts maybe 1 to 2 people.
Right.
And I think a lot of what I'm hearing is that, like, oh, what if it doesn't work out? But the employee that you're trying to recruit is looking for a benefit, and they're taking a risk by leaving their current place of employment, whether they have seniority and so forth like that. So in essence, yes, sometimes things don't work out, and they might choose to resign, but, they took that risk by leaving the other place of employment to try to, pursue another opportunity. So again, given the climate now and what other employers are doing, and I've also looked up just various companies and so forth like that, and also public-private, it does seem that they are front-loading. So it's only like, it seems like it's 1 to 2 hires that this might impact moving forward.
And it's just one of those kind of like what ifs that you will have with any new hire, as far as what about the training hours that you put into the employer? Are you going to say we're not going to train them because they may leave within 6 months? Those are just the risks that you take as an employer. You have to put those things forward in order to get a valuable candidate, or get a viable candidate for that matter, with the professional. So, and again, like I said, this is definitely something that just bringing forward to the board, because with our recent, candidate search, this was just the feedback that I received from a lot of the candidates. So,
and that's a great point to make too, because the recent hire that we made in finance, we thought that might come into play, and it didn't, which was great. So it's not like we made any arrangements or agreements outside what the board approves or so forth then too. You're just looking for future candidates and so forth based on what the input you got from the candidates and so forth. Go ahead, Trustee Jones.
So this, if we approve this, this won't affect any retroactive or anything further?
It will, because it says go back to September 1st.
It is going to affect that. When the mayor stated that, that person understood the issue that was floating around when they took the job. Now, they took the job, but they understood the issue that was floating around, and so it does affect that person. So the recent non-union hire, this is dated September 1st. It would affect that person.
Was that part of the job offer?
It was not part of the job offer, but that person did understand that there was a discussion on this going on at the council at the time.
Yeah, it's like, because I don't remember offering that at all.
It was not part of the job offer,
Right,
but it was understood where the
You specifically said do not include it.
Right.
I got it. But it is on there for September 1st, so it would affect that person.
Okay.
I just don't like it as far as setting a precedence for any new employees that come in, that we have to match any of the best and brightest companies in the private or public sector. They come out and say, well, so-and-so offers it, how come we can't get it too? I don't want to be held, blackmailed as a employer to benefits that we're not offering everybody.
Understood. I think the other side, obviously, that's where the dialogue comes in too, is you're trying to retain the best candidates and so forth. So a lot of times, if you do have something like we talked about, like say for instance, like Shanae pointed out, and Shanae's I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, it's Shanae Hunter's our HR manager. And like Shanae was pointing out, sometimes if you didn't get that perk, are we going to lose a good candidate to somebody else because somebody else did? That kind of thing then too. So I mean, if it's not, if we do have some repercussion to it, I see what you're saying, and I'm used to the old school way of doing things. I mean, my whole life, I've never had more than 10 days off every year just for a vacation. I've never been paid a sick day. I've never been paid any of that time and stuff. I'm 58 years old now, but it's like, certain job sectors are different and certain benefits are different. So we're just you're trying to suggest that we get in line with what you've seen, as well as what Trustee Nava, as far as you've been an HR person and in a role like that before in management like that too. And there's a few people on this board that all you guys, a few of you have been in management, so you've seen the same thing. So.
Well, and to go along, yes, we're talking specifically about the vacation days here, but the other side of it is yes, we don't want them to use sick days unless they're sick, but there are the 4, floating holidays.
Not for the first year.
For the
Not if you were hired, I think it's August 1st. There is 0 floating holidays for the remainder of that fiscal year.
For the remainder of that year, but again, they get those automatically come May 1st as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just see it as an investment in your staff, and I mean, me as a mom, and missing out life moments just because I don't have vacation days for I don't know how long, a whole year or whenever I'm hired and so forth. I think again, it's just what messages are we sending to future employees about the work culture as well. That's all I just want to contribute to the conversation too.
It can be intimidating knowing that you didn't get a day off all year, and it's many of, honestly, a lot of us have families and so forth, to know that you couldn't take a day off to chaperone your child's outing or something like that, for fear of not being home, calling in sick, and then, somebody sees you on a trip to the Lincoln Park Zoo or something like that, and that's kind of what they're trying to say here.
Facebook post.
So, I mean, I think many people have been trapped in that scenario before, and that's what you're trying to overcome. All right.
And I have no issues with potentially giving employees time sooner, but I don't want to be giving them extra time. I mean, especially beyond what they've actually worked long enough to earn.
But how is it extra time if it's a benefit, in essence, right? If I'm interpreting it correctly or not?
Well, and again, it's giving them what they would have earned just sooner. They're accruing it faster. So it's not like someone who would have gained 10 days is now getting 15 days. It's not adding. It's just accruing it quicker.
A benefit.
Yes.
No, but at the same time, I mean, if you hire somebody March 1st, they've only worked 2 months in a current year, but come May 1, 60 days later, you're giving them 2 full weeks. They haven't basically earned anything at that point in time. That's where I'm having an issue with this.
Yeah.
I get it. You're not earning, but you're incentivizing is what you're doing.
It's a benefit.
You're talking about 12 positions in the village. Very specific positions.
Well, I say, but most of the manager positions we give an extra week to.
Yeah, higher.
So,
right.
I mean, so you're right. We're talking about less than 12. But at the same time, we're setting a precedent here. I mean, our benefits are more than generous already. And to be giving away more, I don't think it's responsible financially.
You're not giving away anything. You're giving it away if the person doesn't work out. The likelihood of that, if we vet them properly, should be minimized. And you're talking about 12 people, professional positions. If you're looking to recruit a professional, my opinion is you should treat them as a professional.
I agree.
So, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a committee meeting. We've got this under Human Resource and Insurance, which is Trustee Murphy. Trustee, obviously, I'll ask that you make a decision for next week's board meeting whether or not you want to bring this back for a vote then, too, okay?
I think we should bring it back for a vote.
Okay. And I'll leave that for you to send that to the clerk to post and so forth then, too.
Will do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Before we finish, any other questions on that real quick? No? All right, thanks for everybody. Thanks, Shanae. Shanae, could you hang around for a little bit because for that closed session? I just want to get your input on something then, too. Okay. Next, special committee reports, economic development, Trustee Nava Esparza.
Item 1, presentation by Diliberto Real Estate Services regarding the property owned by the Village of Alsip at 11706 through 30 South Pulaski Road, and the results of the September 24th, 2019 auction. And we have Mr. Diliberto and
Frank,
Mr.
could you and Assad come up, please? Thanks.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Assad. I was here to present last time. As you know, we had a rigorous... Can you hear me better?
You got to climb into that a little
Sorry
bit,
about
Assad.
that.
Thank
Can
you.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
As you know, we had a rigorous campaign around 6 to 8 weeks where we marketed the property, as Mrs. Esparza said, and we yielded fantastic results. We had about 50 inquiries or so, out of which we were able to filter out about 20. So we were around 30 people who requested bidders information packages, which I think you were presented with. I don't know if you, at some point we mailed them to you, but if you don't have them, feel free to reach out and ask them. So we had about 20 to 30 people who requested those bidders information packages, learned more about the property, came to visit it. A lot of those people weren't able to act in the time that we gave them. Some of them turned out to be not as serious. We eventually filtered them down to 5 people. One of them, which you probably know about, owner of a Mexican restaurant, they were the highest bid. We also received a bid from Raza's restaurant, Raza Tulabi, who's been in the restaurant business for close to 2 decades or or more. About what? 40 years. Oh, I haven't been around for that long. But besides that, a lot of the inquiries we received were auto-related, and I know that's something that the village wasn't really looking at. They were looking to pay a decent price for the property, but from people who own towing truck companies, they said that they would use the parking lot as a for whatever cars they tow, and then the shed that there is for tow trucks and all that. So we rejected them. A lot of car dealerships who said that they would put medium to high end cars there. We said that the village is not looking for that right now. So it really comes down to the restaurant owners, one of which we specifically think would be better able to perform on this property and generate you guys some solid tax revenue. I think Frank's going to speak on that because he has more idea of the pro forma and what kind of sales revenue that they can generate for the village. Frank?
Okay.
So I believe you need a full written pro forma? Is that
Yes,
what we're looking for?
Frank. And actually, that's what I was reminded of Assad. And what we'd like to see, based on their offer, because everyone needs to kind of comprehend how much we spent on the property. And we understand the return on investment's always deferred a little bit because we're investing in order to get a better development there than what we had. What we had was not performing. We had an old car wash there. We had an old used car sales place there. And obviously, the whole intent of the auction was to stimulate a new development. I appreciate, like as Assad said, you had almost 30 offers, and you had felt like a lot of people didn't participate based on time frame, but you did have a few that maybe weren't what we weren't looking for then too. Like we had talked to, like you said, we weren't really looking for a tow truck company. We weren't looking for things. We want to spruce the place up. We weren't looking to put up a chain link fence around the place and stuff then too. What we would like to see, I know our part of the bid package was we were supposed to decide on what project we wanted to pursue 3 days after the auction. We probably should have timed that better, like to a Monday night, because this is the fourth day instead of the third. I don't think it's a big deal, but I think really what we need to just see is more pro forma number, so we just know what our return on investment is going to be. We're not entertaining any other offers, right? You're saying at this time, other than what Riza's restaurant.
Right. So the pro forma.
Am I saying that right too? Is it Riza or Reza?
Reza's.
Reza?
Reza's,
Okay.
yeah. So Reza's is, we can easily provide a pro forma.
Okay.
And so he and this location will look for about 5,000 feet to construct 5,000 feet.
Okay.
They believe that, and they've been, like I said, in the restaurant business for many years, so they can demonstrate, past performance and what they typically achieve in these restaurants. But they're thinking minimally $4 to $5 million a year, about 50 jobs. And so, but it's not just about that. As we know, it's really about what we believe it's going to attract.
Right.
Additional business. So that's the important part. And you're right. So in a perfect world, we may have a lot of different folks at the table. But in this case, I think Reza's represents about like a 90 percentile of where we want to be, and the rest of them about a 5 to 20 percentile of where we want to be. So which is fine. I think the mission is accomplished, which is to generate that user that's going to attract other folks to come in. We can pro forma them very easily, and we can provide that to you in as short as order as I would say probably between this week and the following week, or the next meeting.
Sure. Because I'll tell you, trustees, over the last couple of weeks, met a lot of. I met a friend of Trustee Murphy's recently. He lives down in Lincoln Park. Mentioned that restaurant. Thinks the world of it. I was at a fundraiser for Senator Emil Jones last week. I was up at Montrose and Costner at the Old Irving Brewery up there, and I met some folks from that neighborhood, asked about that. They want to know what's going on in our community. I mentioned these ladies thought the world of the place. It's a Persian Mediterranean restaurant, big on shish kebabs, and their business model now is they've got a buffet from 11 to 3 every day and so forth.
Yes,
then, too.
And the price is reasonable. It really is. Yeah, and the drinks and the bar, they have these incredible.
So they got a place right now at 5200 North Clark, and they have another one in Oak Brook, like it's inside of a high-rise building.
Right.
And they just closed their downtown location, so that's why they're looking to go south.
Right.
And we'd love to have these guys. I think it's a great idea. I mean, certainly it's up to the board what we want to pursue, but also October 10th, we've got the meeting, Kent, with the Firewater folks are coming in with their banker and all that kind of thing, too. So if we had kind of a diversified cuisine going on right there, that'd be great.
It's
something a little bit
fantastic,
different,
yeah.
you know?
And I talked with the university, St. Xavier's as well, and there's some really creative things that we're working on, as far as building around that model, and just in terms of restaurants. They would love to see it because they have I guess they have what do you call it for their curriculum?
Culinary?
Yes, culinary, yes. So, we just kind of went back and forth, but they were very excited about it as well. So I think it'll excite the area, to a good degree. Yeah.
It's been 15 years since I lived in that downtown area, but I used to go to that Reza's all the time. It was delicious and, frankly, really accessible food. So even if that's not type of food you normally go to, you try it once and you're going to come back because it was quality,
nice,
and very accessible.
So
I fell into that category. Yeah, it wasn't something I went to.
We have a running joke at work that Frank can eat it, not anyone can.
Indeed.
Well, it turns out now that food is what the doctors are prescribing all of us
Yes.
at this point.
So, Frank, we're not entertaining any other ideas at this time. In your opinion, do you think it's necessary to go to auction again, or do you think, yeah? Because our attorney thought it was a good offer. Our attorney, Gary Perlman, looked at it. He handles all of our real estate for us and so forth. He thought the offer was good. I just don't want to be in default of our actual contract, of our bid request, I should say. So are we going to be any kind of jeopardy if we put this off till next week?
We can, yeah. We're clear to accept it, and there's no, I can't think of a better, again, higher price is one thing, but not for someone that's just going to leave it there, and, I think this is an excellent use for it.
So I made a copy of their proposal to us, and what they're saying is that they're looking to close on this. Now, I know obviously there's going to be a $10,000 earnest, they haven't put down any money
They
yet.
have.
They did.
$10,000
They gave us
is in.
$10,000
Yes.
already. Okay.
Right.
Thank you. And then we're looking to close on this before, I know they said after the first year, but before April 1st, we're going to close on this.
Right.
And break ground this spring?
In the spring, right, and then the idea is to open next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we still obligated to take down the buildings that are there?
Well, we should.
I know we said it in our bid package, and we allocated for that, too. We actually did put money in there, so this all goes into play with this thing, too. So, because we just had the asbestos remediated, and we are getting quotes right now for demolition yet, too. So, because we couldn't do more than that until the asbestos was taken care of. So, well then, trustees, any questions?
Do they plan to tap into TIF monies at all?
There's no discussion.
I
on that
wasn't
at all.
going to offer any, no.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no discussion on that.
Don't forget, there is already some inherent TIF monies in there, and the accumulation of the properties, the demolition of the car wash, the demolition of the
That's what I'm saying. Right, we've already done our
the
part.
demolition of EDCA. There's quite a bit of TIF money already in there, which is essentially a built-in subsidy.
Right. No,
Yeah, and for the
we're
price,
just
too.
confirming, yeah.
For the price, it was the exchanges, no tip.
Oh, it's a good offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, we haven't extended any other TIF incentives to them, no. And they haven't asked for it either,
No.
which is great.
No.
And it looked like, this is a cash purchase yet, too.
Right.
Okay.
It is.
So-
They really do they just do a phenomenal.
In other words, there was no contingencies there is what I was getting at, so.
Yeah, they own health clubs as well that do very well, that, they just have in fact, the one is right across the street from Reza's in Andersonville.
Mhm.
Gym is rated top 20 in Chicago.
I did work with them years ago when I was in the glass business.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, beautiful gym down in North Avenue, actually, right.
Yeah, one of
Okay.
them.
They got a few of them. There's a couple, and there's no one in Andersonville yet, too, so. Okay.
Indeed.
Well, that's what I'll do then, gentlemen. If you would, please, if you can get us back to some performers, can you just please send them to Kent? Some performers on that, because we really need to know what our return on investment is, so the trustees are comfortable with that, and certainly we'll move ahead and get that on our agenda for approval, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Could you both please sign in for me? Sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, trustee.
Good to move
Oh,
forward
go ahead, you had another one on
With
there?
item 2, or should I move forward with item 2 to read it out loud? The ordinance? Request for the approval of an ordinance?
No, actually, because we're not going to do anything with this. And right now, in fact, for that special board meeting, there was something else that I think building or somebody needed on there, but we're not going to take any more action on that at this time.
So do we need to table number 2 or remove number 2?
That'll be on the special board meeting agenda.
We may address that.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. You know what, trustee, I apologize, because if it comes up next week, we want to at least, put that on the table yet, too.
Okay.
So if you want to read that in, trustee Nava-Esparza, sure.
Item 2, request for approval of an ordinance authorizing the sale of the property commonly known as 11706-11730 South Pulaski Road, Alsip, Illinois, in furtherance of the objectives of the redevelopment plan and project approved for the Pulaski Corridor TIF redevelopment project area. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go to village properties, trustee McLaurin.
First, we have a request for approval to have Shamrock Blacktop, which was the lowest of our price quotes, to seal coat the parking lot at Heritage One for a cost not to exceed $12,850. We also would like to have Shamrock Blacktop seal coat the parking lot at Heritage Two for a cost not to exceed $19,120. And then finally, discussion and recommendation to have the rent freeze lifted at the heritage complexes. Everybody should have received additional information in terms of the financials and where we're at in terms of...
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I gave everybody a lot of paperwork to kind of look at and so forth. And so if nothing else, if we, and certainly we're not taking action on that this evening, but unless we had more questions now, we've got enough information to go with here yet, too. I think the biggest thing that we need to address is back in, it was, Ken, what did we say? It was like 2012 when that rent freeze was imposed?
Yeah, I think it was in 2012. I can't remember. What? February.
Okay, so there was a rent increase frozen at that time. Supposed to be 2 years. It never, there was nothing in that ordinance at the time when it was approved to actually lift itself back up then too. So this is, it's been frozen, we've gotten by, but we've got capital projects that need to get done coming up, and the current budget isn't going to support the need. And
Can we get a copy of that ordinance from 2012? I haven't
sure,
been able
yeah,
to
we can get
find
that.
it,
Yeah,
but-
and I think it's, based on the information we're getting from Roger earlier, our facilities manager, Roger saying that with all the projects coming up, we need to replace many balconies. What else is on the capital plan coming up, Roger?
Balconies, pool.
Pool at Heritage One, patio doors at Heritage One.
You know what? Hey, Roger, I'm sorry. Can you grab a mic, please? For Erica, go crazy. She won't be able to hear this.
Sorry. At Heritage 1, the pool for next year, the patio doors. At Heritage 2, the windows, cameras, Wi-Fi connections, landscaping, seal coating, window well casement covers.
Lots of stuff.
Yes, plastering of the pool in fiscal year '23, the laundry machines in '23, the roof on the clubhouse in '24. So those are all larger projects.
So that's the idea, is we need to start saving up for these kind of things. And we're going to do them all, we're not doing them in 1 year, it's a 4-year plan that you got there, and it's a 5-year plan. So that's the idea, is re-implementing. Roger, you've, based on the numbers, and that's where we come in though too, but based on the numbers, on the math, you're saying you're recommending a $10 a month increase.
Starting with, 60 days, whatever you guys feel comfortable with. I'd like to give the seniors at least 60 days, so if we did it now, or next week, I would say starting December 1st, well, moving forward.
Trustees, do you want to go 60 or 90 days on the notice to everybody?
January 1.
Yeah, how about after the first of the year?
So
Or January
that's
1.
90, October, November, December. That's
Kind of
90
a rotten
days.
Christmas
Yeah.
present.
Do that. Go calendar year.
Calendar year sounds good to me.
Okay. And everyone okay with $10 a month?
I'm still not convinced.
That would be enough?
No, I appreciate that the finance director gave us 6 years of audit reports, but in their audit report, and I caution everyone here, my accounting experience is minimal. But when you include depreciation, depreciation does not negate cash, right?
Yeah, but it implies that you do have to replace things over time.
Well, yeah, but these are different types of assets. So if we had a tractor, and a tractor lasted 10 years, after 10 years, you have to replace that tractor. These are buildings. So we have maintenance that's done to those buildings, but those are expense items that we budget for. So those are already included in there. So the depreciation doesn't affect cash, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to bet, and I should know this, but I'm going to bet that those buildings were depreciated long before those 6 years. I think that would have been a long time ago that those buildings would have been depreciated. I can look into that.
Yeah.
No, but there's, to Trustee Dalzell's point, there's $500,000 of depreciation showing up on the financial statements in each one of the years.
Right.
In theory, we should be putting that $500,000 aside to be covering our future capital expenditures. And it does not appear that we're doing that. No, but if we had been doing the $500,000 for each one of the, how many ever years it's been, we should have then funds set aside to do a $500,000 project at each complex every year.
If we would have had this in place 5 years ago, we would have paid for the pool at that $61,000. That doesn't seem to be honest.
You're not on, Raj. Yeah. Sorry. Okay.
I just stated if we'd had that in place over the last 5 to 7 years, we would have already recouped $500,000 plus dollars. We would have paid for a pool at this point, which is what we're going for next year. That's $500,000 that we would have to pay for a capital project. We have big projects coming up. We need the funding. This is something that we need to do. I know it's hard, but we have to do it. If not, we're going to have to start cutting capital projects.
So one of my concerns, and I voiced it before too, is over the last 6 years, we spent almost $3.6 million in remodeling, and I know we charged accordingly. We got market value for them. How much we charging now, Raj? About $1,100 a month?
Correct.
Okay. So we're getting good market value for these units at the same time. I don't know that we're actually, let's put it this way. On a typical build-out, we might spend $9,000 on materials. You might spend another 8 or 9 just in labor because it takes 3-4 weeks to get something like that done.
What I've got, including labor, for the smaller units, $94.75, and for the large units, $12,760.
That's material, right?
That's material and labor.
Serious? I thought we were closer to $17,000 on all this.
Those are all my numbers that I've come up with from previous bills.
Because the way I was looking at it is, obviously it's an investment. You're bringing the units up to speed. You're getting market value for them. Obviously, we're sacrificing 13 months, maybe 14 months, trying to recoup that money. So it's like you're giving away a year, but again, it's the cost of construction. Nothing you can do about that.
Yeah,
you're pulling out of your pocket someplace.
3, 4, and 5 for sure.
We could potentially evaluate how much money we're spending on the
Well, he and I talked about that, and you actually did say, are we doing any new units? Are we just throwing new paint and carpet in there?
On some of them that have been flipped, or some of them when people request that they don't want a walk-in shower, those are the ones that we're just flipping the kitchens.
Okay.
But typically, my guys know they're going in there and gutting it. It makes it easier on us because the plumbing in there is very old, and you've got a vacant, you might as well update it and bring all new copper pipes in instead of the rusted pipes, and then we're sitting there chasing ourselves, putting Band-Aids on it and having a plumber out at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, having guys out at 2 o'clock in the morning. It just makes it a lot better to do it ahead of time.
I just have a hard time when we look at these things, and the fund balance increases every year. And that includes $500,000 a year in depreciation. And we're talking about $10 a unit. $5,100 a month, $61,000 a year. What leak did we just plug with this?
A couple things to that. One, the amount of work that he's having to do in the future, in the next few years, is bigger than what has been done in the past few years. That's one. The second is, right now, since I've been here, and I think more than that, he's always 97 to 99% full. Right. That is good times. Mm-hmm. And if we go down in times, it was put in the packet, if that drops even 10%, 15%, you can burn through the fund balance fairly quickly. According to Roger, and I think Roger should speak to it, it's my understanding that's what happened in 2009, 2010. It cleaned out a good portion of the fund balance. It didn't go beyond that, but I will tell you, the implication, just like agency bonds were always implied to be U.S. government-backed, the implication, since the village owns this, is if the heritage funds don't have enough fund balance, that it will have to come from the full faith and credit of the village, which means the general fund.
And I'm not looking for a tax burden to be put upon the residents or the business community of the town. But at the same point in time, what's the fund balance for each of those units?
I don't have that in front of me.
Approximate.
I'll get it to you. If you continue to talk to him for a second, I can pull it up, but I don't have that in front of me.
And for anybody lost in the conversation, too, what we're talking about is the Village of Alsip owns 2 55 and older communities with approximately, 512 apartments combined?
512 units, that's correct.
Okay. And built-in pools, and they're in great condition. We've had these. When did we purchase those?
One was in 88 and the other one was in 90.
Okay. So, we'll get back with Kent in a second on that then, too, if you can pull up that information.
So just a point of clarification, it was $10 a month
Yes.
per unit when their lease
When they renew.
They
Right.
renew.
Every year, everyone has to renew their lease, and we're going to notify everybody January 1.
I'll notify them as soon as it's passed.
No.
You guys tell me what
Oh,
you
no,
want.
no, no, I apologize.
I mean, I'd like to
Once
give
we
them
pass this-
30 to 60 days notice.
No, once we pass this, they'll have 90 days, before it goes into effect.
Correct.
Right.
After it's passed, I would
Exactly.
put a notification
So-
out to the seniors that as of January 1st, it would.
Our management company would.
Exactly, management company.
will do
on
the
that.
Correct.
notifications. You will not do the notifications.
And again, even though it is effective January 1, it wouldn't be until their lease is renewed. So if their lease doesn't renew until
If they
May,
renewed
it would
December
be
1st.
May.
We're going another year without.
Right. Exactly. If it was in December, they're going to skip almost the whole season, right?
Correct.
All right. Ordinance and legislation, trustee Zelinski?
I think you skipped over, are we done with village properties then? I'm sorry.
We're going to go back to that in a minute,
Okay.
yeah.
No report this evening, Mayor?
None? Okay. IT, trustee Dalzell?
No problem, Mayor.
Okay. And planning and zoning, trustee Juarez?
I have a request for approval of an ordinance of the Village of Alsip granting a special use permit authorizing the repair and storage of trucks for the property located at 4627-33 West 120th Street, Alsip, Illinois. And I have a presentation of a list of licenses dated September 10th through September 30th, 2019. And I have a notice of a public hearing. Notice is hereby given. The Planning Commission will hold a public hearing for case number 2019-10-V-200 on Wednesday, October 16th, 2019 at 7:30 p.m. at the Village of Alsip Council Chambers, 4500 West 123rd Street, Alsip, Illinois. The Village of Alsip Plan Commission will be hearing an application number 2019-10-V-200 for a sign variance for property located at 6201 West 115th Street, Alsip, Illinois. Parties wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to do so. that's on there.
Thank you. Roger, I'm sorry, I thought we approved this already, didn't we, with the truck?
The ordinance has to be approved.
We didn't have an ordinance at the
We
time.
didn't have an ordinance at that time.
Mike, please.
Sorry.
We did not have an ordinance at that time.
So that's all we're doing, we're just approving the ordinance with the, that's going to include all the restrictions and everything, all the provisions, I
Correct, all
should
the
say.
provisions.
Right, that the trucking company. I saw you in the audience, sir, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, too, I'm sorry. Basta? Wasi, sorry, sir. I saw you in the audience, I recognize you from when you were here before, but we did take a vote, and it was approved, what, we approved the planning and zoning?
Planning and zoning.
But we didn't
But
approve the actual ordinance that went with it. I'm
Correct.
sorry, and to bring you out again, man, because, you know, we'll have this on the board next week ask for approval on this next week, okay? All right. Any questions, trustees, on that? No. We approved the plan and zoning, and hopefully this will all be taken care of next week for you then, too, okay? I know you want to get your business going and stuff then, too, over there, so, thank you. Kent, did you have trustee Dalzell's info?
Yeah, so on the last audited year, between the two funds, we were a little over $6 million in unrestricted net position for the two, with most of that being at Heritage 2 and not 1.
And, I'm sorry, for us lay people, yeah, where are we at with that again?
It's the unrestricted net position
For both complexes?
for both complexes together. Was a
Okay,
little
I didn't know
over
if that was one or the other, okay.
So that's available cash for us to use, and
It is, but we have debt service payments as well. I mean, they're both, I believe both bonds have payments towards,
But you have revenues coming in for that.
correct.
It's not like that is the sole monies
Correct.
available.
Absolutely. But on balance, it's been coming in more than it's been going out. Some years it definitely goes down in either one of those. Actually, most years it's been one or the other that has gone down. On balance, over the whole, it has gone up because we haven't had the capital items that we're looking to do in the next few years.
Not many.
And do you have any other funds that have that amount of money in the village?
Yeah,
Other than water.
The general fund has more money than that. The money that we're putting away towards OPEB now has more money than that. But the money, I mean, yeah, there are ones, that's not, it sounds like a large dollar amount, but given the asset size of those, you know, the capital given the buildings and stuff, it's not. I mean, it's 512 units that's looking over, and 2 clubhouses and parking lots and all sorts of things. So it sounds like a big number when you're comparing it to $10, but in the grand scheme of things, sometimes these things go down. Either one of those funds can go down in value. And the bigger capital items, as Roger just pointed out, in the coming years than we've had in the immediate past years. So.
That's all we want to get in front of these capital projects. I can appreciate what the trustees bringing up those with the depreciation, why we're not using that.
But again, both trustees are correct that depreciation isn't cash going out, and it's a reminder that you should be putting away money towards those capital and when they need to be replaced. But in order to put money towards that, you actually have to have the revenue coming in to be able to put that money away towards it. To a certain extent, the fund balance does do that. But it is not, in good time, that's where we're at. If there's a dip, my worry is that it would fall on the taxing population that doesn't live in Heritage, which would be the businesses and the rest of the residents in town.
God, I need you to make that speech at my house. A couple of people heard that one time, you know. That came off really nice the way you said it and stuff, you know. Nobody believes me.
I'd like to think I rehearsed it, if I'm blind luck.
So, thank you, Kent.
Just, I know there's only a few of us that have been here throughout the last couple of budget talks that we have yearly, and I don't remember these balances ever coming up as 6 million, but I do remember capital projects being pushed off to future dates, especially that pool for the last couple of years now.
This year I pushed it off so that I can get the.
Roger, Mike, please. Thank you.
This year, I did push the pool off so that I can get the drawings squared away. They are presently being drawn up. This way, next year, we will be doing the pool at Heritage 1. That's why we moved the project, due to what transpired with me last year. That's why I asked that to be moved into the next fiscal year.
Okay, I could see that for this one particular thing, but where do you draw the line at a judgment of when these funds can be used or when they can't be used?
So, and there are some funds, I'll just be frank about it, there's some funds where things are pushed off for different reasons, and with the general fund, we have pushed off a number of capital projects to make sure we're balancing. We do the same thing with Road and Bridge.
Okay,
We are not doing that with regards to Heritage and the Water Fund right now. The Heritage Fund has been pretty much on track, but things have been pushed off, and usually that's a logistical side. That has not been because we need to balance that. We've looked far enough ahead. Finance is ready to say we'd like to move forward with those on the path that we've set, but sometimes something comes in late, or the seasons don't work out in terms of it was too late or frozen or something along those lines. But we haven't had those in the same way we have with the general fund, those debates about what we're holding back.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Next, trustees, does anyone have any petitions, presentations, or communications? No? Any unfinished business? Any new business? I'm going to ask then that we defer this closed session until after special board meeting, and it looks like on the special board meeting, it's really just the village properties that we're going to address on that, because you wanted to get that going, well, with the asphalt and so forth then too, so the seal coating, I'm sorry. So, yes.
I would suggest you go into recess then on this meeting, open the next meeting, close the meeting, and then come back out of recess.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I used the word defer. You're right. Recess. Thank you. So we're going to recess. Yeah, but
you take a vote to go into recess. You'll come back out of recess after you have the other meeting.
But I want to just get through my board. I want to get through my special board meeting first.
Correct.
Yeah.
You'd have to recess this meeting in order to have
I get
that
what you're
meeting,
saying.
then you come
All
back
right.
out
Look
of
like you were trying to refer the other. Okay. So we're going to recess the committee meeting at this time. This is 8:59.
I'm not sure if you need a vote
Yeah,
for that,
make a
but it
motion to
wouldn't
go into
hurt.
We're not.
recess
We're
for
just
the
going.
committee.
We're just recessing the meeting at the committee at 8:59.
I don't know if you need a vote for
Why
it.
don't
It
we
wouldn't
vote
hurt.
just so we're on
So I
the
made the
safe
motion.
side? Thank you, trustee McLaughlin.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Dalzell. Roll call number 2 to recess the village committee meeting to move into the village special board meeting. Roll call number 2, trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza.
Yes.
Motion carries to recess to the special board meeting at 8:59.
Right. So I'd like to wrap up, trustees, and we'll have the special board meeting right now, and then we'll go into closed session after which. Yeah, thanks, guys. Oh, you guys are, thanks. You guys want to leave, you're welcome, sure. Thanks, guys. So we'll call a, I got to do this. You can go, Ken. That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get?
They didn't have enormous for me. I had to settle for 2 minutes. Keep walking like you're going to be like...
Tom, we haven't seen you in a while. How's everything?
No.
Good.
Doctor said I could drink water until I die. I'm still going to gain weight because of my thyroid issue.
I don't believe in that crap.
Taken care of.
Take medicine for it?
Yeah.
Fan on?
Okay, as a formality, let me do this right. We'll call this meeting to order. Today is, thank you for joining us for our Village of Alsip special village board meeting of the trustees. Today is September 30th, 2019. We'll call this meeting to order at 9:02 p.m. And could we call the roll, please?
Yes. Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Zelinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Nava Esparza? Here. Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm going to waive the Pledge of Allegiance because we did that at the start of our committee meeting prior to this meeting. Next was the public forum. Did anyone in the audience wish to address the board this evening? No one? Then we're going to move right to the special committees with concern to tonight's special board meeting. This will be on your agenda, you've got economic development. Trustee Nava Esparza. Go ahead. We were going to, go ahead if you want to address that.
We're going to table.
We're going to table that action? Okay. Why don't we pull that from the agenda, and we'll just take a vote to table on letter A, please.
Motion to table.
Second.
Roll call number 1 to table letter A on the consent agenda. Request for approval of an ordinance authorizing the sale of the property commonly known as 11706 to 11730 South Pulaski Road, Alsip, Illinois, in furtherance of the objectives of the redevelopment plan and project approved for the Pulaski Road Corridor TIF redevelopment project area. Again, this is a motion to table letter A. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza?
Yes.
Motion carries to table.
Thank you. Letter B then would be village properties. Trustee McLaurin.
Yes, I have two requests here. First is approval to have Shamrock Blacktop to seal coat the parking lot at Heritage 1 for a cost not to exceed $12,850. And next, approval to have Shamrock Blacktop to seal coat the parking lot at Heritage 2 for a cost not to exceed $19,120. And that's all I have under village properties.
Thank you. Trustees, did anyone want to remove any of these items from the agenda? Then can I get a motion to establish a consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call number 2 to establish the consent agenda. Please note that letter A has previously been tabled. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza?
Yes.
Motion carries to establish the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Roll call number 3 to approve the consent agenda as presented. Letter B is approval to have Shamrock Blacktop, Inc., the lowest bidder of 3 quotes, to seal coat the parking lot at Heritage 1 for a cost not to exceed $12,850. And letter C, approval to have Shamrock Blacktop Incorporated, the lowest of 3 quotes, to seal coat the parking lot at Heritage 2 for a cost not to exceed $19,120. Roll call number 3 to approve the consent agenda as presented. Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Trustees, any presentations, petitions, or communications? Any unfinished business? Any new-
Motion to adjourn the special village board meeting.
Second.
Stole my thunder. So-
Well, we still got a long night ahead of us.
No, I hope not. So is HR.
Roll call number 4 to adjourn the meeting, the special board meeting. Trustee Dalzell.
It's just
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Very good. Thank you very
Meeting
much.
adjourned at 9:04 PM.
Trustees, can we meet?
Now, do we need to resume the
No,
other
we
one,
have
or are
to
we taking a
resume.
break?
Right, in closed session.
You have to
Oh, we gotta
come
go
back
in,
from
right, we
recess.
gotta-
Back into
we
the
got-
other meeting.
You're right.
So, motion to reconvene the committee meeting?
Right.
Second.
Okay. Roll call number 3 to reconvene the committee meeting. Trustee.
all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting, all opposed
We're reconvening
at 9:05 PM?
9:07, right. So trustees, I'd like to ask that we go into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on legal complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, Chapter 1.
I make the motion.
Second.
Again, this is a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1. Motion to adjourn to closed session, roll call number 4. Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Navas Barza.
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn to closed session at 9:09 PM.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, I mean, we could stay here and lock the door more or less, and or just sit here, you know. Or you can turn that off too. Thank you.
It's old.
You know. Yes, thanks, Roger. If you can close that, lock it, please. Thank you.